Good evening, and thank you for attending tonight's council meeting, city council meeting. For those who are attending remotely, the camera and council chamber are set up to show those attending in person tonight. The platform we are using has a raise hand feature. You'll notice a picture of a hand in the upper right-hand corner. When we reach the point in the meeting where the public has the opportunity to address council, click that button to be given your opportunity to address council. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would our city clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Tully,
Here,
Counselor Silly,
Here.
Counselor Powers,
Here. Deputy
Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
Here.
Counselor Stevenson. Here. Counselor Tebow.
Here.
Counselor Trim, quorum present.
Do not have any presentations tonight. And we have one proclamation tonight for National Constitution. I'll make that proclamation now. Mayor Tully, who you see on the screen, has already signed the proclamation. So I'm going to read it using his name. It's a proclamation for Constitution Week 2025, recognizing the daughters of the American Revolution. Whereas September 17th, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America at the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document in the anniversary of its creation. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Michael J. Tully, Mayor of the City of Augsburg, New York, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd, 2025 to be Constitution Week in the City of Augsburg, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787. So, second. Ladies, would you please come on?
Steph Andrews, one of the members of my chapter, and my name is Sally Huffman. We're really pleased to do this again and do this annually every year because it's so important to recognize the Constitution, which, you know, I think in these days is always on people's minds. So thank you. I believe I have a photograph from 1981 of one of the times of the year. So I know we've been coming annually since then. Sometime I'll track down the very first times.
Would you like another photograph tonight? We can do that.
Okay, can we come up?
Yes, come on around here. We usually do.
We do. I don't have my phone.
Here, use mine.
Oh. Okay. Everybody's got phones now. I don't bring my phone. It's a distraction. Thank you.
And I'd just like to say, I really appreciate what you do. Daughters of the American Revolution, that's a lot. You know, I'm a history teacher. Next week, I'm starting.
And Julie Matlin at the Augsburg Museum is starting a year-long series of
That's just beautiful. Why don't you get rid of it?
Okay. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, 4 more for the measure. 1, 2, 3.
Did you get married too?
Both sides.
All right. Thank you, ladies, very much. Thank you for the game.
Thank you so much.
We do not have any public hearings tonight, so that brings us to personal appearance. This time, if anybody attending in person would like to address council, please come down to the podium, and you will have 5 minutes. Yes, sir.
I guess by now everybody knows me who I am. I'm the great hero of Ogdensburg, trying to bring high technology industries in the Ogdensburg area. Today I'm here in continuation with what I spoke last time. This is regarding lighting. For the first time in my life, I heard the phrase private area lighting. This phrase was told to me by National Grid after they installed a new connection to the building 417 Canton Street, which is going to be the electronics lab and software development lab of my company, Signal Stream Inc. So I did not understand what is private area lighting. Then he explained to me, well, if you want a light in this pole, there's no light there, you have to pay $4,000 from the pocket, etc. I said, it doesn't make sense. So my suggestion is this phrase should be eliminated. However, if it needs to be kept, I would suggest a formal legal definition of what is private area lighting. May I read my suggestion?
Absolutely.
Okay. I suggest a legal definition of private area lighting be as follows. Private area lighting in Ogdensburg city is a light installed by the city of Ogdensburg or by National Grid on a private property or on a street light pole with light fixture pointing to the private property so that more than 55% of the light energy falls on the private property. Furthermore, street lights from which more than 55% of the light does not fall on the private property cannot be declared as private area lighting. A distinction should be where the light fixture is pointing to. In which direction is the light pointing to? If it is pointing toward the private area, then it can be declared to be private area lighting. Now, I mentioned 55%. There are instruments to measure how much light falls in an area. So if most of the light is falling on the street and say 10% on the private area, that should not be considered to be a private area lighting, a lighting. So there should be a mathematical, numerical definition of what private area lighting means. If you want to maintain the phrase private area lighting, my suggestion is to get rid of it completely. Any street light, any light which is on the street of Ogdensburg is not a private area lighting. Furthermore, I was thinking, as in my thing, new businesses wanting to come and start a business here, if they want light to be installed on the pole near the business, the city should welcome them. Yes, we will provide you at no cost to you the light which will enhance your business. So my area 413, 417 is a dark area, street that it is impossible to walk in because it is so dark. So what the previous owner did, they installed a separate floodlight into the garage. The garage was broken into and the glass was broken because somebody threw a brick inside. So that's my suggestion.
Is there anybody else? Person? If anybody attending remotely would like to address council, please use the raise hand feature. The city clerk will recognize and unmute one person at a time. You'll have 5 minutes.
The first individual is registered as Greg McNamara, and I will unmute that individual now. It appears you are self-muted, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'd like to mention a thought I had just hearing the gentleman speak about the lighting in the city. It wasn't long ago, a year or two ago, they switched all the street lights over to LED from the traditional incandescent lights. Was there a savings there? Did that save the city any money? Like we were told it was going to on our portion of the bill towards the street lighting? That'd be interesting to know. I'd also like to question Mayor Tooley letting people who he deems, well, whatever, that speak past their time, and he doesn't treat them the same way as he treats other people when they try to speak past their time. That's pretty interesting. Early this week, there was a stop, and from the pictures I seen, the Augsburg Police Department was there at the construction going on at the new step-by-step building, and there was illegal immigrants found there. It's unfortunate that we did no reporting ourselves, and the reporting that WWNY did is pretty poor too. Really keeping the people in the dark as to what took place there, and to act like that was a random traffic stop and that vehicle just randomly pulled in there. That's I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. So it'd be nice if the people and the taxpayers can get an explanation. That place isn't even open yet, and here there's van loads of illegal immigrants being caught there. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I do not see any other hands raised.
That brings us to correspondence. Do we have any correspondence? Alrighty, and now that brings us to our consent agenda. That the claims as enumerated in general fund warrant 17-2025 in the amount of $450,453.94. Library warrant number 17-2025 in the amount of $0. And capital fund warrant number 17-2025 in the amount of $1,654.40. And the community development fund warrant number 17-2025 in the amount of $0. And the community renewal fund warrant 17-2025 in the amount of $0 as audited, be it the same hereby are ordered paid. I so move. Second. City clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Tooley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson. Yes. Counselor Tebow, Counselor Trim. Approved.
We do not have any appointments tonight, so that brings us to items for council action. The first item for action tonight is the business of Bill 84, which was tabled at the August 25th meeting regarding the Charter Review Commission's recommended changes. Does any member of council wish to make a motion to take this off the table?
I'll make that motion.
Second. All right. So based on council's discussion and
Do we need to vote?
I'm sorry.
Don't we have to vote on the action
Oh.
to
Yes, thank you. Can we call the roll on the vote to take that off the table?
Yes, sir. Counselor Trim. Mayor Tooley,
yes?
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Scamperly?
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson?
Yes.
Counselor Tebow?
Yes.
Approved.
All right. Based on council's discussion over the past two meetings, on the recommendations of the Charter Commission, I ask at this time if any councilor wishes to offer an amendment to the recommendation affecting councilor compensation, section C6 of the charter.
I will make an amendment motion to that if council approves that it become effective January 1, 2028, which would be past the time period of any councilor sitting at this table right now, be affected by that unless they ran for re-election.
Is there a second? Any discussion?
I still am not in favor of it, but if we should do this, I believe that we should take it out past anything that would affect us.
Anything else?
If I may,
Yes.
thank you. I do believe the commission has used good judgment in studying the facts pertaining to consideration of an increase after 40+ years. And I agree, or I support moving the date to a January 1, 2028 start for a couple of reasons. One, has more of an appearance that the increase in compensation are basically dedicated to the seats versus consideration of a personal increase in compensation at this time. But secondly, to me, it's a symbolic gesture to recognize that the 2026 city budget year is going to be a very difficult challenge. And in postponing an increase to council for 2 years, recognizes that and perhaps pushes the start date for new compensation to a year that might be in a better position to afford what is still a very modest increase. So for that reason, I will be supporting the resolution.
Anybody else?
Just to be clear, that's the only change in the wording is to amend January 1, 2026 to January 1, 2028.
Yes.
All right.
So I'd like to speak to the amendment. So I don't support the entire portion. And the reason I don't is that when we did when the study was there, I don't know what other than local municipalities in the area was done. And we have a city manager form of government versus many of the other boards are working boards. So there is a difference to me with that. And also, I hope I'm not just being a naysayer, but I don't see our fiscal position being much better in 2 years than it is now with some of the forecasting that we're seeing.
Anybody else?
For budgetary issues, I suppose I would support it, but again, as I said last year at the last meeting, the city charter was the city commission, charter commission was put together to bring about this forward. After much thought, I can agree, I can support the amendment. But ultimately, at the end of the day, whether it's 2028, 2030, or whatever the case, we knowingly put this commission back together, or put it together, the mayor's initiative in this council, due to the previous administration, and going forward, I just don't see, and it is minimal to the budget, the cost, but there is a cost to it, and to avoid any politicizing, I can support the amendment to change the date to like January.
Anybody else? All right, I think everybody brings up some great points. We'll support them too. Would you call the roll, please, Kit?
So we're doing one amendment at a time, sir?
One amendment at a time. I checked with the mayor beforehand. We decided that's the way we wanted to do it. So then at the end of making the potential amendment changes, we'll vote on the entire bill unless we decide to table it again.
Understood. Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
sorry, Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
You don't, please.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
Counselor Trim, approved.
All right, next topic that we discussed, any amendments to the topic of residency of city appointed officials?
All right, so I have two recommendations for amendments there, and that would include both the city manager and the city clerk. And if council should go forward with that, I recommend that both 12, C18 and C12 include the terminology of supermajority of the city council.
Anybody
So what
like
is
to?
your resolution? I don't understand what the resolution is.
The amendment is to add the terminology may waive this residence require with a super majority at its discretion.
For which positions?
I had stated C7 or C12 and C18 at the beginning. It would be the city manager and the city clerk.
So if I'm understanding the resolution, then it's to maintain the language recommended by the Charter Commission with the addition of adding a supermajority
Yes.
for the waiver of the residency requirement.
Yes.
Has that been seconded?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I would like to offer a resolution to amend that resolution to include other appointed officials in the charter, specifically section C28, Department of Planning and Development, C34, Department of Public Works, C45, Department of Assessments, C47, Department of Parks and Recreation, and C55, Department of Finance. And that the following language be inserted in with regards to residency for all the appointed officials then in the charter. That is the preference of council to employ a title of position who lives within the city limits, but upon supermajority vote, council may waive this residency requirement provided the title of the position resides in St. Lawrence County. That's my motion to amend Councilor Stevenson's motion.
I'll second that motion.
And my purpose is to tie this all up into one motion. Because I know there had been discussion about maintaining the residency requirement for the city manager and the city clerk. But if flexibility is going to be given in those positions as well as the other that I listed in my resolution, then I'm willing to support the supermajority to approve the waiver, provided it applies to all. And that we maintain the flexibility for the waiver for all those positions.
Any discussion? Further? I'm in agreement with Mayor Tully. I'd come in tonight with that exact thought in mind, rather than be discriminatory against just two positions. I thought the others should be included as well. We all know, I believe, that police and fire are excluded because of state law. But every other position, we've had people come to the public hearing and speak to it. Didn't want the change at all. And I think Jen's proposal of the supermajority is quite honestly, it covers some bases here. If you look at the last administration, when 4 people came in and just basically controlled everything, I think the supermajority can kind of put a stop to that. I know at the last meeting, I wanted more than that, but I think Councilor Powers' statements talked me back down. I still agree with Jen, the supermajority, but I also agree with the mayor to applying this to the other positions as well. So I'm going to support the mayor's amendment. Not sure how we approach this, Ken. Do we do the mayor's amendment first and then Jen's, or?
We are required to do Jen's first. I'm sorry, Counselor Stevenson's first. It was moved and seconded first, so there should be a vote on that, followed by a
I
vote.
would actually make a motion to withdraw my amendment. Okay, person that seconded it would agree.
With that being said, Mayor Tooley's amendment proposal to Counselor Stevenson's amendment. Mayor Tooley, am I understanding it correctly that you are in agreement with the changes proposed by Counselor Stevenson for a supermajority vote to be applicable to all positions listed in the charter, in addition to not excluding the positions of city manager and city clerk?
Yes, the amended resolution would be, again, to insert the phrase in all appointed, city appointed public officials in the charter. Well, let me be more specific then. C12 city clerk, C18 city manager, C28 Department of Planning Development, C34 Department of Public Works, C45 Department of Assessments, C47 Department of Parks and Recreation, C55 Department of Finance. Then each of those sections, language would be inserted that says it is the preference of council to employ a title of position who lives within the city limits, but upon supermajority vote, council may waive this residency requirement provided the title of position resides in St. Lawrence County.
Thank you, Mayor. So with that being said, Deputy Mayor, then we can now move to a roll call
Yes.
regarding the amendments. Further discussion.
Any further discussion?
So I just wanted to be clear, I am still not in favor of the city manager not residing within the city. We have had great success with other positions, and currently we are filling some of those positions with resident people that do not live within the city limits. Having had many of our residents talk to me and me reaching out and asking people their opinion, the majority of them want the city manager to live within the city. The reason being is they're the ones that are the primary driver of the budget for the city. They have the biggest impact. They also need to be accessible to the residents, not just at City Hall, but also in the neighborhoods, understanding and experiencing some of the trials and tribulations that we deal with within the city. And just being there, I've been part of 3 city manager hires, and not once were we not able to get a good candidate that we hired that was not willing to sit and move within the city limits. We can give a grace period for that. We have given grace periods for that. But I do believe that that does need to happen. So while I think that it's best that if council wants to support this, that we go with a supermajority, I still am not in favor of the city manager not living within the city limits.
Which is why you propose the supermajority.
It is, to make it a little more streamlined and give it more credibility if council decides to
I
go with
agree.
that.
Any other discussion? Call the roll, please, Kathy.
Counselor Sully,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow, Counselor Trim, Mayor Tooley,
Yes,
approved.
The next item is any amendments to the topic of filling a vacancy on city council, section C10 of the charter.
Deputy Mayor, I have a resolution to offer.
Yes.
I make a motion that new language be inserted in this section. I believe it'll be under C2D as follows. After its canvass of citizens to solicit persons eligible to be appointed to the existing vacancy, the vacancy committee shall notify city council in writing if it is unable to provide city council 3 names of candidates eligible and willing to serve as mayor or city councilor by its required deadline. In its notice to city council, the vacancy committee shall affirm that it took all appropriate action to canvass for interested persons within the allotted time frame and shall describe the steps it took to canvass citizens. Upon receipt of this notice, city council can either choose to ask the vacancy committee to submit a list of eligible candidates from its canvass of citizens, or can extend up to an additional 30 days the deadline to fill the vacancy and ask the vacancy committee to continue its work until such time as it forwards 3 names to city council for consideration.
Second that amendment.
Okay, so again, we've been discussing, the possibility that this might happen. I reviewed this language, circulated among council, reviewed it with the city attorney, and he believes this language is appropriate to accomplish our goal, if this is in fact the goal we want to pursue.
Any further discussion? Kathy, we call the roll, please, for this amendment?
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Scamperly?
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson?
Yes.
Counselor Tebow?
Yes.
Counselor Trim? Mayor Tully?
Yes,
Counselor Silly?
Yes.
Approved.
It brings us to the next item that we discussed. Any amendment to the topic of appropriations and transfers of funds. And we had quite a discussion on this. And there's actually been a change in language proposed. Council would like, I can read that proposal.
yeah, please make it in the form of a resolution.
A motion to amend the local law as follows. Delete section C65 in its entirety and replace with the following. C65, appropriations, transfer of funds. Transfer of funds, authority to the city manager, contingency appropriations. The authority of the city manager to approve transfers. The city manager is authorized to approve transfers of appropriations between line items within a single budget department as defined by the budget account number. For example, 1490 DPW administration. Transfers between budget departments, regardless of whether they fall under the same oversight department, shall require city council approval, except as otherwise provided in this section. Transfer threshold for city council approval. Right, that's item 2. The city manager may authorize single event transfers between budget departments not to exceed $35,000. Any transfer between budget departments in excess of $35,000 shall require prior approval of the city council. The transfer of threshold established herein shall be tied to the maximum expenditure permitted under section AR 41A, Public Works Contract, and the city's procurement policy for public works bidding, as may be amended from time to time. 3, emergency transfers. A, in the event of an emergency requiring immediate expenditure of funds to preserve public peace, health, safety, or property, the city manager is authorized to approve budget transfers necessary to effect such expenditure. B, all emergency transfers shall be reported in writing to the city council by the next regular meeting and shall include an explanation of the circumstances necessitating the transfer, the source and destination of funds, and the amount transferred. 4, transparency and record keeping. The city comptroller shall maintain a record of all transfers authorized pursuant to this section. No transfers by the city manager as provided in this section shall be effective without a written approval, either in hard copy or signature, or secure digital form, signed or electronically authorized by the city manager. Such approvals shall be maintained by the comptroller as part of the city's permanent financial records. 5, contingency appropriations. All city budget operating funds may, upon decision of the city council through an approved budget or through budget modifications, appropriate, up to 10% of each operating fund's appropriation total into a contingency account for unanticipated expenses. City council may transfer the balance or portion of the balance of said contingency account at its discretion. The city manager's authority to transfer contingency appropriations is governed by subsection A2A of this section. I'll move that amendment.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have slight concern that under emergency transfers, there's no limitation on amounts. You know, I understand that an emergency, at 35,000 might not be enough. You know, is this going to authorize the entire budget to be spent on an emergency or potentially open a can of worms?
It's capped at 35,000, correct?
Not for emergencies, it's not. This codifies current practice.
I mean, how would you put a number on it?
I don't know if I really want to put a number on that. The vast majority of our city administrations, I have no concerns about them exceeding what would be appropriate. But given a couple of our past administrators, I wonder if we should have a limit of some kind. I have no idea what we put on it. And if it's an emergency, it needs to be done.
Is there something in the charter that defines emergency?
Well, I don't know about in the charter currently, but section 3A though, I think is an attempt to define that, you know, preserve public peace, health, safety, property. You know, it might be a little bit of a liberal definition, but I think we need to allow the manager to have some flexibility in making that judgment.
Subsection B there actually adds some transparency that would not exist now. So if the city manager would do some emergency announcements,
Good point.
I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. Any other discussion? Kathy, we call the roll, please, on this amendment.
Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
Counselor Trim, Mayor Tulley,
Yes,
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
approved.
Does anybody have any other amendments to the commission's recommendations?
I would like to make a motion to amend by division to split portion C6 compensation, C12 residency required for clerk, C18 residency required for manager from the main motion so that we could vote on those three separately and consider the rest of the motion as whole as amended.
City manager.
City manager
City
residency,
clerk,
clerk
and
residency, and the compensation for council.
Didn't we just do that through the amendment process?
So we need a second so we can discuss. So basically what it does is instead of, I still am not in favor of the city manager living outside the city. I am not in favor of the additional compensation. So in order for me not to support that, I would have to vote no on the entire motion. And I really appreciate all the work that the Charter Commission review did with this. And I am in agreement with the majority of this. But I would have to vote no because I am not in favor specifically of those two The 3 I really don't like, but the 2 specifically I'm not in favor of. So this allows us to vote and be appreciative of me to be appreciative of the entire recommendation by the Charter Review Commission, but allows us to vote separately on the 3 items that may not be unanimous.
Anybody else for discussion?
So the motion on the floor, and I didn't hear who seconded it, is that the certain elements of the amendments that council approved tonight be voted on separately in adopting, in concluding our work on this.
That's correct.
Would we have to undo the amendment that we did a little while?
Yeah, I mean, I think the opportunity to take care of that was during the discussion of the amendment. I mean, I don't know how you have it both ways. I'm opposed to having the city manager not reside outside the city, but I offer resolution to allow for it. I mean, it's playing both sides of the fence, quite honestly, and I don't think, I think this, as amended tonight by council, this resolution on Bill 84 should be taken care of in one vote. That's my personal opinion.
So I will speak to that. People know me that I don't place both sides of the fence. When I make an opinion, I stress that opinion and I stand by it after research. What I didn't want to see was that it still go through, because I know I'm in the minority, have it still go through and not have consideration for majority. So I wanted to make sure that that amendment would go through. But I still am not comfortable with it. So if this motion fails, that's fine. I'm just going to vote no on the final motion. So I'm just asking for division so that it can be voted on the 3 sections separately from the main motion recommended with recommendations from the Charter Review Commission.
This is one of the reasons why I didn't want to support the supermajority in the first place.
Yeah.
Because it is being politicized now. And it's and no offense, but I do see it on both sides of the fence. Because if it came down to a supermajority vote, then it has the ability to hinder good hires. And that's one of the reasons why I opposed it all from the beginning. And I support the original amendment with the ability for council to be able to give grace period to move into the city or for titles to be in the city. But there's a lot of building to be done here. And I don't think any of us will be here when hopefully as the city progresses, and future city governments can change and modify that as it goes forward, as the city, as we all hope and work to do, to have it thrive. So that's, I don't support singling out certain items. Council has discretion on everything. And again, that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to support the supermajority, because it boils right down to, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, that it boils right down to quality health and quality advancement of the city. And that's my genuine concern with this. And I don't support this amendment. I support the original one. It gives the whole council the ability to go forward and keep moving without having to single out certain items. We'd be adding language to the charter and changing an amendment. We would have to go back and modify the amendment that we did earlier for Robert's Rules of Order. And that just, I'm just stuck on.
No, it doesn't change the motion. It doesn't change the amendment. The amendment stays in place. All it's stating is that we're going to vote on the both of the motion together, and then the 3 items would be voted on separately. And I imagine they're going to pass, but I probably will be the lone no vote on those, but it allows those to be separated, and the majority of the recommendations are wonderful, and I agree with them wholeheartedly. These 3, I cannot vote yes for, so I'm just asking for division so that it's not voted no for the entirety. That's all I'm asking. It doesn't change the content of anything other than the amendments that were made. It doesn't change those.
It does separate out.
Given ourselves the ability to be able to as a council, if we're searching for a city manager and he didn't immediately live inside the city, we have the ability to give him a grace period and or modify through the language in the amendments to either have them not live inside the city, which I don't approve of, but ultimately at the end of the day, we've got a city to run, we've got a government to run, and sometimes, things don't happen. State agencies would only hire state employees, New York State employees. Every law enforcement agency in New York State now hires outside the state. And I don't approve of that. I actually argued it from a union standpoint, but now that's fact. And that's kind of where we're leaning. And until this city, we can, with Fonda and this government and future governments, move this city forward, then the restrictions, so to speak, or the ability to have them stay and mandate that they live inside the city. All the amendments and department heads that the mayor put in his amendment.
So I just want to make sure that we're very clear on this, because the division does not change anything as far as how the motions are coming forward. All it does is, instead of saying we're lumping all of the recommendations into one vote, that it separates the vote. So instead of asking for each and every change to be separated and voted on individually, which we have done in the past with Charter Review Commission recommendations, all it's doing is saying we're voting on the majority of it that has little or no discussion or full agreement on in one lump sum, and the other three separately. And it won't change what the end product is as long as it goes forward as yes. That's the only change that it does. It does not change the wording after the amendment. It only divides those three out for the vote.
And I confess, I just don't get it. I mean, the original resolution you offered in regards to residency, I thought appeared to be in the spirit of compromise among the various positions expressed by councilors during our discussion on this topic. And the resolution that we ultimately approved on in a 7-0 vote, expresses that compromise. And now we're ready to move forward on the vote on the total. And now you're not willing to support that. I just don't understand that.
I have made very clear, even when I made the amendment, that I was not in favor of those three things, but that if it had to happen, that this is what I would recommend.
So why didn't you start with a resolution to require residency for the city manager and city clerk, if you felt so strongly about it?
Because I knew there was not support for that. Just being very honest with you, I knew there was not support for that. And I thought at least this way, city council would think longer and harder about it. And it would not be just a simple majority that would make that decision. Yes. And allowed to, vote yes on the majority of what the recommendation.
But if the rest of us vote yes,
It passes.
then we get them.
It passes. It all changes. It all stays. It all stays.
Well, I came into this meeting, and every meeting, frankly, that we've discussed this, knowing that the way we get things done is compromise. I said to myself, no matter what, if I get the super majority or it's whatever changes we agreed to as a council and how the vote went, I was going to vote for the change because I'm 1 out of 7, and that's democracy. That's what we're doing. We've made some compromises. I'm not going to ask to single something out because I disagreed with it. I think in the spirit of democracy, and I was ready to just vote, even if I lost hands down every amendment that came by, because who am I? And so I asked that we continue that. I'm not going to support singling out any of these after we just had discussion and all voted on these amendments. I'd like to move forward. And if we want to make changes later, council can make changes later. So
The original.
Kathy, we call the roll on the Jen's amendment.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
What am I voting?
The amendment to have,
Separate those three things out. Right?
Yes.
Counselor Trim, Mayor Tulley,
No,
Counselor Selly,
No,
Counselor Powers,
no,
Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
No.
denied.
Kathy, will you call the roll on Bill 84, please, as amended?
as amended tonight.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
Counselor Trim, Mayor Tulley,
Yes,
Counselor Selly,
yes,
Counselor Powers,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
No.
approved.
All right. Where- Next item of business will be read by City Manager Rhonda Brooks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. A resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for and accept grant funding from the Northern Border Regional Commission Catalyst Program for critical drinking water system improvement project with an estimated cost of $6.9 million.
I'll make that motion.
Discussion?
how much of this is local share?
$26.9 million is the estimated cost of the project. This is a grant of $1 million to try and cut down on that. Right now, we have zero grant funding.
We're already committed to this project, right?
No, we're not committed to the project. These are the things that we need to do to apply for grant funding so that we can get ourselves in a position to go for this project.
Unless we get some funding or plan to move forward with this anyway.
That's a question and a policy question for council to decide on. It's probably something to bring up during the process.
Anybody else? Call the roll, please, Kathy.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
yes,
Counselor Selly,
Yes,
Counselor Powers,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
approved.
Our next item of business will also be read by City Manager Rhonda Brooks.
A resolution declaring Ogdensburg City Council lead agency for drinking water system improvement project and issue a negative declaration.
I'll move that.
Second.
Any discussion?
Sure. So for any public project, municipality question must go what's called the secret process, state environmental review, quality review. So the city council, there's no agency for this. There are no other stakeholder agencies that are interested in the agency. Negative declaration simply means that in our estimation, staff's recommendation to you, there will be no negative effects of this project.
Any other discussion? Kathy, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Tulley,
yes,
Counselor Selly,
yes,
Counselor Powers,
Yes,
Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
Counselor Trim, approved.
Our next item of business will also be read by City Manager Rhonda Brooks.
A resolution authorizing the issuance of a bond ordinance on $26.9 million for water.
move that.
Second.
And any discussion?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
This is a procedural update. It's required for us to be able to apply.
So basically, I think we have to be committed to the project or to apply for even the grant to help us.
Correct. The funding agency wants to see the city council. That doesn't mean necessarily have to move forward on it, but it does say that it will move forward on it.
Excellent. Thank you. Anybody else? Call the roll, please, Kathy.
Counselor Selly,
yes,
Counselor Powers,
Yes,
Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
Counselor Trim, Mayor Tully,
Yes.
approved.
All right, and that brings us to old business. Does anyone have any old business this evening?
Gentleman last week talked about lights on 137, right? Something late, past dark one night, and I took it right now Thursday, it's dark. But I noticed there are no poles to put lights even on, except that intersection. So we're gonna have to, I don't know who's responsible for putting poles up, would that be grid or would that be the city? I think it's a great idea. But again, the only places where we have poles are at the intersections. It would require us to put in X amount of light poles. I think it's something you can look into. Because it looks like there's nothing.
I did the same thing last week. Yeah, came through. And said, "No, that's a good point." Would the city petition the state for something like that, and who would pay the bill?
We're talking state right away here. I mean, certainly draft a letter that will do us. To look into it, to do what, whether the state.
Right. What we could ask.
You work with your state legislators as well. Yeah. 37 is a state highway, so we can all work on the state. Your legislators.
State.
Just try.
Yeah, we can try. We can try.
Would suggest that a member of council put together a resolution.
Okay.
For staff to,
All right. Is there any other old business?
the cleanup of the Franklin Street fire. Okay, what's going on? Process that's happening. It's still sitting there, it's still. That is private property. Trust, so we're somewhat limited, of course, we go on the property. Dollars and months. I'm not so sure where anybody. Dollars. We had some conversations with the county, who's had conversations with the, attorneys for the family trust. Exactly where they are at this moment. But it's not just very, very pricey because we'll assume that there's
All right. Anybody else with old business? Does anybody have any new business? All right, that brings us to items for discussion. And the first item on our agenda is about city beautification and the mural program.
So, well, you're in town, in town, but staff is going together, because the town is where that's not. And like, drive the dog, the artist, also like, so there's, discussion that, some folks will do about, it's one of the laws, of the building.
communities that have mural festivals and really put it in town and just make these art stories. So this is an offer for the community to take on that project.
Ready? I know many communities that have murals.
We talked about this actually years ago, and I think OFA, the art program out there, was actually involved at one point. Yeah, they made some murals. And have you talked to anybody at OFA about doing that?
Now they open it, but
Good. Good. I provide support. Anybody else?
I'm assuming that most of these would be on privately owned buildings. And I don't foresee, at least in my position, the city would stand in their way, depending upon the content, of course. But, I don't know of many public buildings that would be doing that, but it's not a bad idea. One of the OFA art teachers in her class painted the one that used to be on Desperados. And it was a nice piece of work. Each individual thing is different considerations. Right? So also, I just hate to give everybody a blank authorization to go ahead and start doing it. It's on private property, that's up to the owner.
we actually have seen, right before COVID, I believe it was 2018 or 19, the concession stand at Montroy Park was painted with a mural. And it looks really nice. And it really brightened up a concrete block building. So we have done it on some public property before.
Any others? Any other comments? All right, next, economic development update. I know I asked for this. Look forward to it.
All right, happy to provide. For folks viewing at home, there's a handout that you can download.
I apologize for whatever reason it didn't load. I'm sorry. I
Never
just
mind,
noticed
right
it.
there.
Sorry.
We'll wing it then. For those of you in the chamber, I do have a PowerPoint presentation. Yes, so we'll take a look at that. And we'll start on page 3, 2025 grant. And most of this I've already discussed with council in previous meetings, but it's good to have all this kind of now. As far as the CFA consolidated funding application process for 2025, the city applied for 4 grants. The first was a parks grant to try to limit or eliminate the local share of the New York Swims grant, $627,000. We also applied for 2 LWRP grants. One is to support an update of the plan that we have, and the other was to support an implementation project, which is streetscapes in the Marina District. The 4th consolidated funding grant application was in support of a professional comprehensive plan, seeking funding to do that with a qualified engineer. So, as you saw today with 3 different resolutions, we are seeking infrastructure grant support in the form of a drinking water grant with WIA, which is $5 million. Catalyst grant with MVRC for $1 million. That's for that. Those are the maximum amounts that we're allowed to apply. There are no other programs. As far as DRI and or New York Forward, the request for applications came out last Wednesday. They are due the beginning of November. And Tyler and I had a meeting with the executive director of EST for the northern region today. We've had some conversations, reached out to a number of businesses, and we're trying to formulate our strategy on where to go for that this year. And we on Friday applied for 2 youth sports and education grants, one to expand the arts and craft program, and one for team sports. So those are our grant efforts thus far. I will remind the council that we've received 2 grant grants thus far in 2025, $50,000 for cybersecurity, which will come in extremely handy. And the second one for $100,000 to do inflow infiltration study. So we can just- Move on to the next slide. We do have a number of quality in place initiatives that I consider part of economic development because I'm going to take this place to live in. It will attract more people's economic development. First is the New York Swings Project to rehabilitate the city's municipal pool. That's roughly $3 million project. The downtown mall parking lot project is another $3 million. Just referred to the I&I flow infiltration studies. Phase 1 is basically complete. We're just waiting for results. Phase 2 received that $100,000 grant. And the city has 3 active Restore New York projects, all with private developers, the Ace Hardware Store in Pickering, Michael Brewery in the Marina District, and the historic buildings adjacent to those are our 3 Restore New York projects at approximately $5.8 million. So those are things that are happening right now.
Excuse me, city manager, when would those, is there any estimate on when these projects would be started?
The Ace Hardware Store is in the bidding phase. I'm probably bidding completed. I haven't gotten an update yet on that. Items 2 and 3 are recent awards, so they're in the engineering phase currently. All of them have a 2-year shelf life. So we did get an extensions for the Ace Hardware project. That is probably going to be complete sometime second quarter of next year. And I don't have any ETAs on the other 2, but we could get 2 years to this moment. That's not an issue.
The downtown mall project?
I do not have an estimate on that. We have not even begun it. So I'm going to think that's in 27.
Thank you.
So to move on to the next slide, there are some opportunities that we probably should discuss. Some are in the near future, others have been farther away. I'm going to start with the 30 Main Street project, and that's the old cheese plant. We have some grant funding to be able to put together a high-quality RFP for development. With the cost of those only being grant funded, any RFP process or already together must be run through the state, so we're in that process right now. So RFP is imminent, as is an RFP for Diamond and Shade Roller. I will share with you some decent news on Shade Roller that I believe that our process to get a certificate of completion is a little bit ahead of schedule. Let's not take that to the bank with regard to the DEC. However, our initial estimate of getting that was towards the end of the year, and I'm hoping we can get it. Some things that we don't get right. No guarantees, but I'm cautiously optimistic. For the Diamond site, there are several interested parties. The RFP process is going to be essential in determining what the best idea is. I will share the draft number 2 of the RFP is sitting on my desk. I received it today. So we've gone ahead and forth with a couple of iterations now, so that it's closing. I'll also share with council the fact that the folks that are helping us put together the RFPs are one of our planning consultants, and they are going to actively market that as well. Other developers get it in front of people. The more ideas you have, the more feedback you get on that. We only get one shot at this. We want to make sure that the city. So those are the more near future opportunities. I will share with you that longer term opportunities are really talking about environmental studies on the Osbury properties, Jackson Street properties. We have funding for our GOA program to be able to do some of that stuff. We're going to be partnering with the county to be able to do that on Osbury sites, and we'll take lead on the Jackson Street site so that we can determine what the environmental contaminants are on those properties and to way to determine the best mitigation strategies. Where's Jackson Street? That's right next to the full property. Okay.
Kind of goes right down through the middle of it almost. So it ends where the lighthouse is. If you were facing the river, it would be just on the right.
And as an FYI, the community voted going probably have a couple, maybe 3 more, just for last night. And then we'll do some type of a comprehensive presentation, council on that. Obviously, we're looking at an eye towards housing, affordable housing, and making processes a little bit more streamlined. If it when that's possible. I would like to now have Tyler Parker come up and share with council some of the things that he's done. Once he's done a great job in outreach to the business community, and I thought it would be a good time for him to share some of the things. So, Tyler, take it away.
Good evening, council. Members of the audience, good evening.
Good evening.
In case you have never met me or seen me in passing, my name is Tyler Park. I'm the city's economic developer. And I'm going to be providing council with a brief update of some of the projects we have been working. So an economic developer has 2 main functions, and that is to support existing businesses, and that is to facilitate the creation of new businesses. In order to do this, an economic developer must take an active approach and familiarize themselves with the community members, the local businesses, and other relevant stakeholders. Building a strong rapport and getting to know the individuals that you are serving should be the main focus of any new economic development, especially one that is new to the community. We have done that annually. So for the past 2 months, a lot of my time has been spent outside of the office and in the community. I've been assessing the needs of local business owners, establishing and reestablishing beneficial partnerships, meeting with the elected and appointed officials at the state level, and attending networking conferences in an attempt to promote the city's potential and many more things that council will learn about as time goes on. When I am in the office, most of my time is dedicated to researching ways to spur economic growth here in the city, deepening my understanding of local, state, and federal incentive programs, and following up on the connection we've made in order to ensure that the city is maintaining healthy and long-lasting relationships. So that brings me to some of the things that my office has accomplished since the position was reestablished. So in the first 60 days, Ogdensburg Economic Development Department has met with and assessed the needs of over 25 local business owners. These conversations include discussions on current challenges, ideas for expansion and retention, possible incentives that they may be eligible for or that they may qualify for, and anything that the city can do to ensure that their business continues to thrive. We have solidified new partnerships with the Small Business Development Center and the St. Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce to host business events, one of which will be a small business expo right here in the city, and to offer business development services right here in the city of Ogdensburg. So I will be providing council with more information on that at the next council. We have already assisted one small business owner in receiving 2 grants for his startup business. That person is in the audience here. I don't want to put him on the spot. He is here. And he has been authorized to start incurring funds on a $5,000 and a $10,000 matching grant for his business. So we will be working with him, with the Small Business Development Center, and with some other local banks and financiers to go ahead and get him plugged in with that. My office has taken the lead role on our strategic planning committee. For those of you who don't know, that is a committee that meets annually, and we discuss the potential for the city, what things we see where we can improve, some recommendations on that, those types of things. So that is what that committee is for. And my office is currently facilitating the reestablishment of the growth. So for those who know, the Growth Fund is an organization who helps business owners that are trying to start businesses or trying to expand. They provide low interest finances. My office is also playing a key role in the development of a social media program for the city beyond what we already have existing. So this program will raise awareness and promote transparency in a convenient, consistent, and at times appropriately entertaining. We have also facilitated a $2.3 million no-cost extension to resume the Maple City Rail Trail project. This project is going to raise the city's aesthetic value. It's going to promote tourism, and it's going to provide a clean and walkable connection between Ogdensburg and Oswegatchie. We are also working with SUNY Brockport to develop an internship program. So as we have discussed in the last couple of weeks, recruitment and retention is very difficult, especially given our proximity or lack thereof from other council manager forms of government. So it's just hard to recruit these kinds of people. So developing an internship program will help us to fill some key vacancies in a cost-effective way. So those are some of the things that my office has been working on, and council should expect to be briefed on some pretty major developments in the next couple.
Slide 7 has kind of a timeline for some key progress dates. I'm not going to go through them all there for council. So at this point, council has any questions?
So, very happy to see there will be an RFP soon for both 30 Main Street and Diamond. Shade roller, would that be included in that as well?
We won't let you talk about it, say it's there, and if somebody wants to talk about it, they might be hired to the parcel. They're the option.
I think it's important that a developer know, in the city know, that before we get the COC, the certificate for the shade roller plan, when the state hands that to us, if there's a developer already picked, they get incentives. But if there's no developer already picked yet, then there's no incentives by the state to develop that project.
I think the bigger question before we get into that is the environmental piece of that property. And that's why we have to go through this process. The developer is going to have a heck of a time to look at what they don't know what the rules are. We have very little control over that. That's all Department of Health. So spend step number one before we get to that.
Right.
What the limitations of the property are, because if they are not going to be our.
Oh, of course.
So we just need to know if it's similar to diameter or different, which is why I was happy to hear maybe on schedule.
Well, glad that we can move forward with everything else. And as you said, put that in there. Something to keep in mind. If we have a developer that before we actually take possession of that COC, they will get state incentives automatically. That's part of that program. So that would be good. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for the update very much. Thank you, Tyler, for reaching out to everybody. And I see you're doing a lot of work, and I like that. And we really gotta. I mean, we have two choices. We can continue to manage the city's downfall best we can, or we can try and bring it back, right? And that's my thoughts on that. Is we gotta raise sales tax. We gotta bring things here. We gotta have anchor projects, and it can't happen fast enough for me. Of course, I've been sitting here for 16 years trying to get it to happen. So I hope you're the answer, my friend, and let's do this. So, anybody else?
Well done.
Log the discussion.
Thank you, Tyler.
I just wanted to add that I have sat in on some sessions that Tyler, our economic developer, has participated in, and does a great job. So good job, Tyler. Keep up the good work.
All right. Next, upcoming tank presentation.
Sure, just to have given some comments at the last meeting, I wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity to process to come in, present, and inform and remind council of what they do. They love to talk about all the things that they do, so I think it would be a good information session and a good way to get any questions you may have answered by whoever it's the answer.
Good.
That'll be
Very good. I think Dank has been a great help to the city. Anyone have any other items for discussion? All right, seeing none, that brings us to citizen participation. At this time, if anybody attending in person would like to address council, please come down to the podium and you will have 2 minutes to speak.
I'm Ellen Schwartz, and I'm the person that brought the mural project idea to Donna, Councilor Trim. I live in St. Petersburg, Florida during the winter, and I live here otherwise. I've lived in Syracuse and a lot of other communities that have been putting murals on their buildings, and it just is such an amazing thing when you're walking down the street or you're driving down the street and you suddenly see this piece of art pop up. And it really does give you a positive attitude about the community. And so I feel like it's really great for city beautification, but also economic development. A lot of people have, as they have created more and more murals, they've created mural trails for people to come and visit. You can have selfie stations at different murals, so it's something that you can do through social media. I think that Councilor Silly is absolutely right in terms of if we can get private businesses and community members to want to have something on their buildings. What I would like to present here is that perhaps there will be municipal buildings at some point that you want, or there might be buildings that you all have in mind that could use beautification, or perhaps you have access to reaching out to the homeowners in a way that a private citizen would not. And there's also funding opportunities that might need the support of the community. So I just hope that this is something that you're optimistic about and we can move forward with. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in person?
Hello, I'm Deb Quinn, and I would like to also talk about the mural. That sounds very good. It's great. My husband and I previously spent several months and even years in Florida, and that's the first thing you see is a mural when you come in. And actually, they had the Crab Fest, and we would go and get our picture taken right at there. It was very iconic. And I thought the first thing is I'd like to see that on the Lowe's building. It's the first thing you come through, and then maybe at the building at 68 and 37. That would be wonderful. There's a well now, although, you know, probably couldn't get them to do it. But previously, the back of the PNC, you know, where that was, it was just a blank slate. Looks terrible. And I agree with this gentleman about the lights. In fact, we ought to put this business on high priority because that is directly where the kids are going to start filing out of school. And it's a very dark area. You're so correct. And from my childhood, taking a trip to Georgia, to Savannah, I remember to this day, and of course we probably couldn't do that, but it's the peach state. In Savannah, every street light was peach colored. Now, even after the last meeting, I went on the internet and I could see where there's all different kinds of LED. I don't even know the words resolution and how much should street lighting, the, you know, the little, what are they called? I don't know how bright they are. And even on my way around town, because I'm from here, and my husband and I relocated back 1 year ago. And that is one of the things we notice. It's very dark here, very dingy. And even as we go around, we see lights that are coming on at different times. And again, with the kids getting out of school soon, we need to make sure these lights that are on timers are tuned into the correct time. And maybe the DOT could be looking around, or I'm sorry, the Public Works could see, are they all on the correct time frame? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm done on that. Is that done?
You can finish up.
Okay, so if the lights need to be on because then someone's home, right? On Bigelow, we don't really have a lot of lights on our street. You can go down our new address, the old Millette House, and we got our blue lights out there supporting the police department. And, you know, I went around already and picking up trash because we're by the 7-Eleven, and my husband's always adapted to where we live in Florida at the time. He'd go around with his Ranger and pick trash up. So I did that day. I did my little walk around and I thought I got to go home and get a trash bag. So people stopped and said, I saw you over at the 7-Eleven picking up trash. I said, yeah, we're from here. We need to help each other out and meet people and look around and see what we can do. And so let me see,
Thank you.
the time the lights come on, the prioritizing the public areas, the schools, do they have enough lights? And y'all talked about DOT. Remember, Route 68 is on Main Street as well, correct? That goes through Main Street?
Correct.
So maybe DOT could work there, and why don't we start with the poles we have as to worrying about putting up poles? There's lots of poles that we just need lighting on. I think it's an important thing.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, I have other stuff, but there's time.
Next meeting. Excellent, though. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else in person who would like to come down to the podium and talk? If anybody attending remotely would like to address council, please use the raise hand feature. The city clerk will recognize and unmute one person at a time. You'll have 2 minutes.
The first individual is registered as Greg McNamara, and I will unmute that individual now. It appears your line is open, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. First of all, I'd like to once again express my displeasure with the system here you guys are using. If any of you's watched the past videos, when you talked tonight, most of what Councilor Scamperly has said has come over, but Mayor Tooley as well has come across. But nothing Councilor Trim has said, and I would say about 95% of what she said since she's been on the council can be heard on any of the videos. If you guys do, if you go back and look, that's not acceptable. And I'm not, it's nothing personal. I'm not singling anyone out. I don't know if it's a issue with that one microphone, if it's an issue with whether you got to be right into the microphone and speaking extremely loud or whatever it is. But people shouldn't have to be sitting in that room to know what everyone's saying. I'd also like to talk about the fact that I saw little arguments going on tonight, which that's good. I agree with Councilor Stevenson as far as her views on the charter review stuff you guys were talking about tonight. It's good to see some dialogue and some back and forth and not everyone just voting yes on everything. That's good. And I think she made very good points. And something I would like to say too, I think I think they did a good job, but I was there the night the presentation was given by Mr. Morrison, and a woman that was on that committee, and you all know who she is, and I won't state her name, but she's a very well-known businesswoman in the city, and she was very upset that she wasn't able to speak after Mr. Morrison was done speaking. And she was told that she could speak later, I think during the same time I'm speaking on right now. Not personal appearance, but the other one there, whatever it's called. And she was really mad and stormed out and said that it was to her understanding she'd be able to speak when Mr. Morrison was done. And that didn't really look good. That didn't look good at all for the commission. And it's kind of a personal thought of mine, the fact that Mr. Morrison works for the diocese and that was the mayor's past employer and stuff. It didn't look good. And I'm not saying I got all the faith in the world, don't get me wrong, in Jim Morrison, and I'm not saying they did a good or bad job. I think they did well. I don't agree with everything, but I think they did well. I'm just saying that whole ordeal didn't look very good. And
Can you close, Greg?
Yeah, I will. I just appreciate seeing some different viewpoints on that tonight. And discussion about it and not just everyone agreeing and saying, the normal rubber stamp on it. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Is there anybody else at home that would like to speak?
I do not see any other hands raised, sir.
All right, then. In that case, we do have a need for executive session. Introduce a resolution executive session. The first resolution. All right, whereas City Manager Fonda Cronus requests an executive session with members of Augsburg City Council. In executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. And whereas New York State open meetings law permits City Council to adjourn to executive session for such purpose, now therefore be it resolved that City Council adjourn to executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. Be it further resolved that any action resulting from this executive session shall be taken in open session. I so move. And we do have some people joining us for that executive session. Wrote it down somewhere. Fonda, can you help me out?
Controller Angela Gray, myself, and the team from Gilworker and Gilworker.
Excellent. And call the roll, please.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
Counselor Trim, Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Silly,
Yes.
approved.
And we have a need for another executive session, whereas City Manager Fonda Cronus requests an executive session with members of City Council, an executive session to discuss collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of Civil Service Law. And whereas New York State open meetings law permits City Council to adjourn to executive session for such purpose, now therefore be it resolved that City Council adjourn to executive session to discuss collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of Civil Service Law. Be it further resolved that any action resulting from this executive session shall be taken in open session. I so move. And we call the roll, please, Kathy?
Sure. Deputy Mayor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
Counselor Trim, Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Silly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
approved.
We do not anticipate any action following executive session, so I'll make a motion to adjourn from executive session. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned.